anchors. How great would it be if you could make somebody feel excited or motivated or happy or enthusiastic instantly? It would be wonderful, right? And we can do this using anchors. Now, if you haven't checked out the anchoring audio bonus in the account homepage, I advise you to do check that out. If you haven't, an anchor is merely an association. A Pavlovian experience. Pavlov, the Russian scientist who rang a bell, fed his dogs, rang a bell, fed his dogs. After a while he could just ring a bell and his dogs would expect food. They'd associated the sound of the bell with food. Now today, if you haven't already, like I say, after this go back and listen to the anchoring audio bonus, because today what we're going to do is to specifically and deliberately create and set an anchor. Now, people do this all the time. People are doing this all day, every day. So it's not some kind of covert, manipulative thing that I'm asking you to do. What I'm asking you to do is essentially make people feel good. And that's a good thing. So, anchors work best when they are in more than one representational system, more than one of our 5 senses. So we're all aware of certain smells can be very evocative. A certain perfume can remind you transport you right back to a moment. Or a smell of a certain alcoholic drink that maybe you had way too much of as a teenager and can't go near anymore, or the taste of it. Smells and tastes are very, very powerful anchors. They re-evoke that feeling. They re-elicit that experience. Now, the smells and the tastes largely are not usable with what we're looking at here. However, visual, auditory and kinesthetical feeling, now these are the 3 areas that we can anchor. Of course, when we're anchoring, we need to remember that there are certain areas of people's bodies that we don't want to touch. So if we're kinesthetically anchoring with the sense of touch, we're not going to... The shoulders and the upper arm generally are okay to touch. If people are sitting down, just steer clear of their knees. Generally torso, body, again, just we don't go near. So, if we're going to associate one thing to another thing, first we need to elicit a state. So we need to elicit a state of excitement or enthusiasm or confidence or motivation. Or we can allow these states that just happen in natural conversation, when they happen, we can decide to anchor them. Now we can anchor them in many different ways. So we can anchor it with a gesture, a thumbs up gesture. We can anchor it with a gesture of any kind. The sound of me snapping. Obviously, snapping and putting my thumbs up is a fairly obvious thing here for you to get the idea that we can use a sound. Yeah! You can clap your hands together. Yeah! You can use a different tonality in your voice. Wow! Yeah? And of course, your expression acts as an anchor. Wow! So if you clap your hands, wow! Or if you reach over and touch them, wow! And you use a very specific tonality, and of course a word can be an anchor. Words are anchors for our experience. That's all they are. Words are labels for our experience. The word car reminds us of a car, and we've all seen cars. We've all been in cars, probably all driven cars. We've heard them, we've felt them. When they're new, you can smell the lovely fresh. Now that's a noun. Words like excitement, well, excitement is it's what you attach to it. So all words are anchors. So we can use words and sounds and gestures. Now, obviously there are a lot of gestures which already have things attached. So there are certain gestures, which mean, yeah, great. There are other gestures which are taken to be offensive. There are other gestures which you can use when you combine your anchor. So we can use the big smile and a thumbs up, or if we reach over and touch somebody on the shoulder using, yeah, a different kind of tonality. And so as we reach over, and you have to spend a moment just watching people who naturally touch other people. Oh, that's so wonderful. Who reach over and pat people on the shoulder. Because it needs to be very, it needs to be very natural, the way that you, otherwise it looks like somebody coming in to, oh, I've learnt this technique, why aren't you feeling good? Because you're poking me with your finger. So it needs to be very relaxed and very casual. So this is why gestures, this is why tonality are also very useful. Think of the stand-up comedian who stands one way and says one set of things and then stands and talks. He's creating two separate characters in two separate locations and attributing different properties to each one of those characters. Now, one thing we can do is steal anchors. Hey, did you see the show last night? And you know, the main character, wasn't it? Yeah, did you see it when he did? Yeah, I mean, that was so funny, wasn't it? So you can talk about something that has happened or something that you saw on the show on TV last night. Or you can talk about a memory from the past, something that you both shared or you were really focused or motivated for. And you can talk about that, and then every time you talk about it, use the same tonality, the same gesture, and the same kinesthetic. Today I want you to deliberately set an anchor. Yeah! Okay, so we're motivated. Yeah? So whatever it is, I want you to, and again, use, like I say, as many of the representational systems as you can. So obviously if there's a group of people, you can't go around and touch everyone on the arm, or touch everyone on the shoulder to associate the touch to the good feelings. So you can do it with sound. Yeah, sounds, tonality, and gestures and expressions. Today, I want you to set an anchor a couple of times with somebody, and then later on, yeah, trigger that anchor and notice the response in them. And remember, if you don't get them to fall about laughing or suddenly become so motivated the first time you do it, remember, the first time you rode a bike, the first time you drove a car, it wasn't perfect, but you practiced it because it was something that was so worth learning. Have fun with this.